It's the end of the day, I'm really tired and I've made a monumental mistake. And my fingers were a bit oily and it just slipped and fell down into that oil gallery. That is really, really bad news. Hello everybody, welcome to number 27. I'm Jack and this is the Troublesome Influenzo. So first things first, here's a few pictures of the various people who won the valve. So I'm really sorry if you didn't get one. There was massive demand. They all went within minutes of the video going live. Today is really exciting because this is reassembly time. This is where I'm actually going to start putting it back together and hopefully get it running very soon. So the first thing is I have the two heads. I have to sort out the valve clearances on both heads. Also, I have to move over various studs and other bits from my old cracked head to the new one to make sure that everything is ready and all the ancillaries will fit. So let's get going. I've really been struggling with these valve clearances. It's just been so fiddly, and because the gaps are completely different to before because it's new valves, reseated and so on, it's not as easy as just minor adjustments. So there's been a bit of toing and froing, but anyway, potentially a bit of a disaster. As you can see, this head at the moment has these two valves pushed out because the cams are in. Because I've been putting the cams in and out to try and measure the valve clearances, you always have to be careful to put it that way down when you do that. And I just realized, I picked it up, that it had been lying flat on the floor. Luckily, it was on both a bit of towel and cardboard, so I hope to have got away with it. But the way to check that these aren't now bent, which I deeply hope they're not, is to close them up, and then I'm going to put a pool of petrol there, and as long as it doesn't come out of either side, then it should be okay. I think it will be. It does take quite a lot to bend these valves, and I would have put it down quite carefully, but all the same, another scare when I didn't need it. So first signs are good, because if they are bent, usually it starts leaking straight away. All looking good. But I'm going to have to wait about 15 minutes and just make sure that there's nothing going through. No trace of leaks after 15 minutes, so that's excellent. The problem with timing this is doing it so that when I'm turning over the engine to get the right timing, the valves on the heads aren't protruding, and so that I end up hitting a piston. The best solution is to have the flywheel on top dead center and then to put the cams already on their marks here for top dead center, which is guaranteed to mean A, that the valves won't hit the pistons if I move anything around, but B, it's ready to be lined up to put the belts on. So it's almost, the problem with that is that these cams do not stay on the top dead center bit because they're pushing down on the valves, so they tend to flip. The solution for that is to take these end caps off and just put a slip of paper. That's all that's needed to close the clearance. A little bit of paper between that and the top cap, and it will lock them in place, which is great. So once I've then done that, once I've got the belts on, got the timing right, then I can loosen these, take the bits of paper out, and then we're ready to go, in theory. Right, let's get them to the... So it's so hot, there it is. I don't know if you can see it, it's so faint. So that is spot on the top dead center mark on the cam. So now tighten it all up, yeah, and then it should no longer move. Brilliant, absolutely no movement. The heads are ready to be put back on the car, and I have my stepdad Steve, who is really enthusiastically volunteered to come and help me because I don't think I could do it on my own. So this is it. So first of all, the new head, so the one that was cracked, I'm going to slip that on, then the other one, and then I've got a whole load of other work to do. Right everyone, well that was almost a bit terrifying. They're both on, which is just awesome. It's starting to look like an engine again. Stymied by one of these. This is one of the head bolt washers, and I wanted to torque the heads down, and I've just realised that I am one short. Now that's not really surprising because those heads have been all over the place, so I guess one of those going missing, maybe when I took it apart as well. It's not in the heads, so don't worry, because they've been stripped, taken apart and rebuilt. But all the same, I couldn't torque them up without it, so I'm just about to... Luckily, it's a bank holiday weekend here in the UK, and this would have stopped everything because all the shops are shut. Luckily, my mate Andy, who fixed the Influenzo, who fixed the sill that I crashed on the Influenzo, apparently he's got one, so I'm on my way there now. All right, Andy?
Oh, yeah.
That looks good. So are you going to save me then?
Hey?
Are you going to save me?
Save you, yeah.
What's the story with this GTB? This is one of your mates' ones.
That's my use. Just want, I've got to paint it and restore it for him. Yeah, it's just.
Well, it's been here for years, hasn't it?
Yeah. Well, yeah, it's been here a while. You only need one.
I think so.
Spare one. Just
Yeah, it'd be good to have a spare just in
Can
case.
you see another one in there anywhere? Is that one? There's one.
So for torquing down the heads, there's a preset pattern. You start with that top bolt, then the one under, then you move over diagonally, then to the other one. You start from the middle and then build up diagonally through. Next thing is cleaning up these belt tensioners and just checking them and making sure that they're good to go, because the next step, is going to be putting the belts on. Looking forward to that. Just getting closer all the time. Both the tensioners have been rebuilt. They're now nice and smooth. But I've just realised that before doing the belts, I actually need to get the headers back in place, because it will make it a lot harder once the belts are in. So first of all, now, front and back headers, and those back ones or front ones, whatever you call them, the ones near to the bulkhead are a bit of a nightmare to get to, but I'll do that. And then after that, also, I have to put the alternator back in. Then it will be belt, so there's a little while to go. Both the exhaust manifolds are in with new bolts and gaskets, so that's excellent. That did take a while, but got there eventually. One slight hiccup is that I forgot to put the seals on the camshafts before I tighten them all down, so I'm going to have to take all the camshafts out again and put the seals in. Not the end of the world, but I'm going to lose, I guess, an hour or so ever doing that, maybe a bit more than that. In my rush, it's like a really basic mistake that I made and I just didn't think is I should have blocked up the oil galleries at the bottom of that head, and well, both heads, and I didn't do that. And as I was taking out one of the bolts from one of the cams, this one here, I took one bolt out fine, took the other bolt out, and my fingers were a bit oily and it just slipped and fell down. So it was this bolt here, and it went down behind the head bolt in there, and then you can just about see the oil gallery, and it's gone down into that oil gallery. So that is really, really bad news. I don't know how I can get it. I mean, you can see it's a tiny little hole. It's about, I don't know, 5mm or something in diameter, and I don't know how far down that hole it's gone. I would imagine to the bottom. So, okay, I've made up a little tool. I thought the best way possible is to try and use a magnet. So I've got here one of those little tie things that you get with bits of bread bags or whatever. I cut up I've got some really strong magnets that I use for stuff. They're like little round 10p coins. So I cut that up and made it just about the size. You can see here, just about the size of the circumference of the oil passage. So the next thing is, just see, and I used some putty to glue it to this. Just see if I can get it down that hole and then pick out the bolt. But oh my god. Oh, think I heard a little clack there. Oh, yes. Oh my God.
2-0 to Italy.
You have no idea how happy I am about this. You really have no idea. I thought disaster had happened. And, oh, I was praying for this. Thank you so much. This is so good. I'm so pleased everything's alright. Okay, I can carry on, but not tonight. That's it for today. Oh. Both the manifolds are in and bolted up. The alternator is in, and both belts are now in, timed, and the timing looks like it's spot on. So at the moment we're exactly on top dead center on the other side, so on the flywheel it's top dead center. We're exactly on top dead center on the two marks on both sets of cams, so absolutely spot on. So I'm really pleased about that. The first time I tried to do it, the right hand belt actually was a tooth out, so I had to redo it. But it's all, I've done a few revolutions as well, so I'll do another couple now to settle the belt and then do the tension again, because the tensioners basically work by the spring pushes it out, and that's supposed to be the right tension, and then you block it. But I think you need to get the belt to settle first before doing it again. So I'm just going to spin it around a few times, make sure that that's all okay. Right, now let's see if they line up again. And they do. So this is the rear bank and the front bank. Brilliant. So it's been a few days since I last filmed, and I have got the cam covers on, loads of other bits, but carbs and so on, and I just didn't film it because it was all pretty boring, no major disasters. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to crank the engine over, and that's going to serve two purposes. Firstly, I'm going to check that each plug is still sparking now that I've reconnected the electrics. Secondly, also I want the oil pressure there's oil in the engine now, I want the oil pressure to go up. I haven't put water in the engine yet, because if there's anything that needs taking apart, this is just, you know, a quick 30-second start up, so it doesn't matter if there's no coolant in there. And if something needs taking apart, water's such a pain to drain on this that I didn't do that. So anyway, first start, crank it over, make sure everything's sparking. I can't tell you how excited I am by all this. This has been off. This engine hasn't run for months. I think it was November or October. And let's see, the sparks looked a bit weak, but then I noticed I hadn't tightened the positive terminal on the battery properly, and so they look alright, and those spark plugs make really weak sparks anyway for some reason, the way they are. But anyway, all the weak looking sparks. Anyway, it's time to see if it will start. Firstly, get the fuel pressure up, because I've just reconnected the fuel pump, obviously wasn't connected before. Okay, and let's go for it. Ignore all the smoke pouring out, that's just like oil that's gone on the manifolds. I am absolutely pleased with that, and there would be an expletive there if YouTube didn't penalise me for it. So that's, I can't believe it. I've sort of rebuilt it and it is running. Now I should never say that, because yeah, maybe it's not, I mean it's running alright, the smoke coming out and everything, it's post rebuild, don't worry about that. I sprayed some oil in the cylinders as well before cranking it over before, so that's all good, but it's running well enough to put in the coolant, get it to run longer, start trying to set it up. But I am absolutely delighted with this. I really am. I can't believe it. I can't believe that basically it seems to be running. Hopefully no major issues that come up, but it's a brilliant start and I'm so pleased, and I can't wait to actually take it out. I've still got a fair bit to go now, putting things back together, but brilliant, brilliant. Thank you so much everybody for watching, and can't wait till the next video when I can actually be showing you driving it, and then we can get back to the old thorny issue of why it wasn't running well at the top end. I doubt it's been resolved, but we'll see. Please subscribe to my Instagram if you want to message me, that's the best way, and thanks again for watching.